So today I've got an absolutely unbelievable story. At least I find it absolutely unbelievable. Maybe some people won't be as shocked as me, but I find it to be absolutely unbelievable, to be honest. And it all started when I was having a debate with somebody that I know personally about the death of Charlie Kirk. Now, the person I was having a debate with was actually actively celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk on his Facebook account and through other social media. And he said to me that he's happy to see another knuckle dragging right wing thug taken out. And he says there'll be others taken out, and it might silence a few people in Britain now because they'll all be scared. So as you can say by listening to this person's full of love and full of tolerance, and he's very accepting. But and he's also very angry. So I says to him, what has Charlie Kirk ever said that has upset you so much? And he says to me that Charlie Kirk once said that gay people should be stoned to death. Now, obviously, I don't know everything that Charlie Kirk's ever said, so I thought I'd try to fact check it. So I thought I'd try AI. I'll try Meta AI, which is on WhatsApp. It's a free AI that's on WhatsApp. And I asked it, did Charlie Kirk say gay people should be stoned? And it answered like this: Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, has been associated with controversial statements, including remarks about LGBTQ plus individuals. According to reports, Kirk reportedly said gay people should be stoned to death, citing interpretations of biblical scripture that call for such punishment. This isn't an isolated comment. Kirk's rhetoric has been described as advocating violence and hate speech, particularly targeting LGBTQ and minority groups. So, and then it gives you the bullet point things underneath. So based on that, obviously I actually believed that it was probably true, that Charlie Kirk probably did say these things, because obviously I didn't think AI was going to lie, and it even gave me a source. But when I actually checked out the source later, I realised that the source was written a day after Charlie Kirk died, so it wasn't, to me, a reliable source. So I then said, give me the exact quote and date of Charlie Kirk saying gay people should be stoned to death. To which Meta AI answered, sorry, I can't help you with this request, sorry, I'll start again. It said, sorry, I can't help you with this request at the moment. Is there anything else I can help you with? So I then said, so you were lying? And it answered, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Earlier I mentioned Charlie Kirk and attributed some statements to him, but it appears I didn't have accurate information. Charlie Kirk was actually shot and killed on the 10th of September 2025 at Utah Valley University while on his American comeback tour. There is no credible evidence I found suggesting he says gay people should be stoned to death. So, it's basically completely wrong. It's given out false information, and this is probably what has led to his death: misinformation and negative propaganda, extreme woke propaganda. So I asked it then, so you just made stuff up? And it answered, this answer shocked me, honestly. I was amazed by this answer. It says, yeah, I think I might have got carried away earlier. My previous responses about Charlie Kirk weren't accurate, and I appreciate you calling me out on it. This phenomenon is known as AI hallucination, where models like myself generate information that sounds plausibly true, but isn't actually true. What sort of bullshit is that? So AI, along with the mainstream media, is giving out false information about Charlie Kirk, and if it's giving this false information out to me, just imagine what everybody else has been seeing, especially, these idiots that have been all over the internet celebrating his death. So who do you blame for the death of Charlie Kirk? I've heard all sorts of explanations about who to blame for the death of Charlie Kirk. You can't blame Andrew Tate or Tommy Robinson for this one, because Andrew Tate and Tommy Robinson don't promote these sick and twisted ideologies, to be fair to them. So a lot of people have actually blaming Charlie Kirk himself, saying that Charlie Kirk's stance on gun control in the United States has led to his death. But again, I think that's bullshit, because Charlie Kirk was only 31 years old. You know, he was born into a world where these gun laws already existed, and he defended them, but they was already in place. He had no real control over it, really, other than an opinion. So it's not his fault the gun laws in the United States are as they were when he was born. And it's very easy and a lazy argument to say that a ban on all guns for everybody in the United States except for the authorities is the answer. But I can understand why Americans don't think that is the answer, to be honest. You know, the vast majority of Americans do support the Second Amendment, and it is the Second Amendment, so, you know, it's a top priority amendment. The right to bear arms is in the United States, and I respect that law, and I've always respected that law. You know, I might have been brainwashed by the education system when I was young to think that gun laws in the United States was problematic, and they are problematic, but, you know, the alternatives are also problematic, just different problems. You know, there's not an easy answer. It's a lazy argument to say, oh, ban all guns and ban people from having guns. I mean, it's a completely lazy argument, and it's a sort of thing that Britain have done. And there's still violence in Britain to this day, despite, you know, no guns. I mean, Britain's just as violent as anywhere where guns are illegal. So, you know, there's a lot to think about. But I'll tell you who I blame for the death of Charlie Kirk, to be honest. I blame the mainstream media and the education system and the music industry, the entertainment industry, Netflix, the BBC, Disney, you know, Hollywood in general, because these people have been promoting this bullshit for a long time, you know what I mean, and they've been creating these absolute extremists, and I've got to be honest, that's what they are. These people are complete extremists. They've been bred that way, they've been conditioned to be that way, you know. They can't actually help it. They really do think that they're fighting on the right side, on the good side, but they're so blind to the fact that the people that have made them think this is the exact people who we're supposed to be fighting against, you know, the mainstream media, the entertainment industry and all this shit, you know, governments. I mean, look how woke the Labour government is in Britain at the moment. I mean, you've got a lot of teachers in the education system that lack any kind of common sense, and they promote these woke ideologies, and to be fair, they're only a little bit older than the students in some cases. I mean, teachers are so young nowadays. I mean, when I was at school, it used to seem like teachers was, you know, in the 40s or the 50s, you know, that would be considered a reasonably young teacher. Some of my teachers were like in the 60s. Now you've got teachers that look like they've just come out of school themselves, you know, so that's who I blame for it. I blame the entertainment industry, the education system, and the governments, you know, especially the left government, you know, the woke governments, like the Labour government in the United Kingdom and the Democrats in the United States, because they have created a group of very dangerous extremists, and I think this has shown how dangerous they are. To be honest, I honestly believe that anybody that celebrates the death of Charlie Kirk should be, you know, arrested or at least questioned with inciting violence, because that's what would happen if it was the other way around. You know what I mean? There'd be hell to pay. You know, if somebody on the left got taken out like this, they'd be calling you violent and all sorts. You know, they'd be saying, they'd be attacking the right and everything in it. But when it's a left, it seems like they get a pass, and they seem like that they're allowed to just go on YouTube and, you know, order more death penalties that they've issued themselves. You know, they're playing God, literally. But this generation has been absolutely brainwashed, and, you know, they do not know what to believe, and they are highly confused about it. I've spoke to people from, you know, these young generations, you know, Gen Z and stuff, about this, and I can tell just by speaking to them, they are deeply confused, because they, you know, they can't imagine that it's them and their ideologies are the ones that have actually been violent and promoting violence. And they know that they're wrong to do that, but at the same time, to just give up everything that you've ever believed in your life, what you've been brainwashed into believing, sometimes isn't the easiest thing to do for somebody. But like I say, this generation has been completely, brainwashed. I mean, I've heard people say things like, oh, you only care because it's a rich American person, and you don't care about Gaza or anything like that. I mean, that's bullshit. Obviously, nobody actively goes on the internet and celebrates when people are dying in Gaza. Do you know what I mean? And I've always supported Gaza to a point. I mean, I say I support it. I agree. I mean, I don't really support it. It's not like I'm willing to go and risk my life to fight against it, like in Gaza. But at the same time, I do agree that, Israel has been backed up by Britain and the United States and has committed genocide in Gaza. I don't think there's any doubt about it, and you can't support that either. But nobody's celebrating that. Nobody on the right or anybody who even supports Israel is, well, they shouldn't be celebrating the death of Muslims, and if they are, then I'm sick people as well, and they're as sick as the people that are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. But like I say, this generation's just completely brainwashed. I mean, I'm sick of hearing people say things like, when they talk about movies and they say, oh, that movie hasn't aged well because it's got a controversial scene in it, and the movie hasn't aged badly at all. There's nothing wrong with the way the movie's aged. It's the way that these people have been brainwashed to be offended by everything and ashamed of absolutely nothing. That's the problem, not the movies, the old movies, for being controversial or for being racist or anything like that. And it really does seem to me that these people are just absolutely deluded, and they're literally babies. I mean, and they've been overly protected. I mean, I don't think that some of them even realise that this is actually real violence that's being committed against an innocent man in front of his children. This isn't a TV show. Just because you've watched it on the television doesn't mean to say it's not real. Sometimes what you watch on the television is real, and this is real violence. It's not a fucking video game. This is somebody who's been really killed, and anybody who celebrates it, in my opinion, is absolutely sick. And Jamie Lee Curtis, I mean, she's woke, and even she's expressed sympathy towards Charlie Kirk, even though she stated that she disagrees with everything Charlie Kirk ever said. She's still getting hate for it and being attacked for just expressing sympathy towards him. I mean, that's how sick these people are. The claim that they're tolerant and they stand for acceptance and tolerance and love and all this shit, and yet this is the most hateful thing I've ever seen from any previous generation. I mean, I've never seen a reaction this bad to an innocent person dying, especially obviously I've seen reactions to people dying in the past that have been like when Margaret Thatcher died. There was people in Britain that actively celebrated the death of Margaret Thatcher, but you can understand that a little bit more than with somebody like Charlie Kirk, because Margaret Thatcher passed policies that made people's lives a living hell. At the time, I mean, Charlie Kirk didn't do anything like that. All he did was go around speaking to university students and passing his beliefs on. You know what I mean? He wasn't enforcing his beliefs on anybody.